Good evening, everybody. I see that we have a lot of participants. We're going to get started on our webinar in just a minute or two. Thanks for joining us tonight.
All right, everyone. Welcome to our event director training. We are so thrilled that you are able to join us this evening, and we know that some of you have had this training before, but a refresher never hurts. And we have tons of new information to share with you. So let's get started. All right, so the purpose of this training is to provide updates to event director tools and resources to support new and existing event directors, and to improve ways that staff and volunteers can work together to support great council events. Hi, everyone. My name is Kim Leslie, and I'm going to do a quick introduction of the staff. You first heard Betsy Connell. She's the program director. She works out of our Gainesville office. Previously talking was Devin Mastromarino, and she's the program manager in Columbus. And I'm Kim Leslie, and I'm the program manager here in Macon. Our agenda for this evening, I just did the introduction. We're going to talk about some webinar housekeeping. We're going to talk about the event director update. And then we will have a short break for those who want to leave us. At that point, you can. We do encourage everyone to stay on the call, though, because there's a lot of great information, even if you've been an experienced event director. Also, we love to hear your ideas and suggestions and tips that you've learned along the way to make things easier. After that, we'll talk about some event planning stages, and we'll wrap it up with a Q&A. However, if you have questions along the way, please feel free to type them in the chat box, and we will answer them as we go. At the end of the webinar, we will provide you with a link to our short quiz that we're going to set up on the materials. The link is not active yet. We wanted to put it up there so that if you're watching this at a later time, you'll have access to the link. Once we get the quiz finished, we will email all of the participants that are joining us tonight so that you'll know it's active. And all the material that we covered tonight, as well as some of the material in the event director manual, will be included in the quiz. So to get started, we would like for you to raise your hand. If you look at your name on the participants list, there's a little button where you can raise your hand. So if you have hosted many Girl Scout events, go ahead and raise your hand now. Okay, great. I see quite a few hands going up. That's wonderful. And then you'll have to take your hand down. So press the hand button again to make your hand go away. And then if you've hosted just a few Girl Scout events, go ahead and raise your hand. Oh, I see a few hands going up. Okay, great. Okay, you can go ahead and take your hand down now. And if you are brand new, you've not hosted any events, go ahead and raise your hand. Okay, so we've got a really good mix of everybody in this group tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. The next thing we want to do is in the chat box, we would like to just have you think about maybe some events you would like to host in the future, and then just put them into the chat box so that we can all see it. So I'll give you a minute to answer the question. Okay, one of the events in the future, somebody said they would like to host a campfire. That is a great Girl Scout activity. So thank you for sharing. If you do have questions, like I said, please let us know, and we'll answer them along the way. We got another one, Independence Badge Workshop Series. Ooh, that's a good one. So hopefully the tools that we give you tonight in the webinar will let you, we got more coming in. Journey in a Day/weekend, that's always popular. We get lots of requests for those. So hopefully you'll have the tools by the end for being able to put these events on. The total time of the webinar should last until about 8 o'clock, but we might run a little bit late if there's lots of great questions. So I'm going to move it to the next slide and let Betsy talk. Betsy, you're up.
All right. Thank you, Kim. Good evening, everybody. So those of you who've been around Girl Scouts for a while, you've probably seen this slide before, but there are some updates to the model, the Girl Scout Leadership Experience model, and that's what we wanted to share with you this evening, one of the many things. So the Girl Scout Leadership Experience model describes how we accomplish our mission to develop girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place. Guided by supportive adults and peers, Girl Scouts develop their leadership potential through age-appropriate activities that enable them to discover their values, skills, and the world around them, connect with others in a multicultural environment, and take action to make a difference in their world. When these activities are girl-led, cooperative, and hands-on, girls gain short-term outcomes, specific skills, attitudes, and behaviors that ultimately result in Girl Scouting achieving its mission. So as part of the revision process, there were new GSLE outcome measures created, and those are the short-term benefits, the square in the middle of this slide, as well as some new Girl Scout processes measures. However, the overall model has not changed. So just to review a little bit on the right-hand side there, or excuse me, the left-hand side, discover, connect, and take action, that has not changed. And the Girl Scout processes of girl-led, learning by doing, and cooperative learning, that is exactly the same. We still know that the processes are really important. But the short-term outcomes have been stated differently. And so the new short-term outcomes are strong sense of self, positive values, challenge-seeking, healthy relationships, and community problem-solving. So the new outcomes in their definitions grew out of the 15 outcomes used previously, if you're used to seeing those. So they're going to look pretty familiar to you. But these definitions are different than the old ones in some meaningful ways. So here we are with the 5 GSLE outcomes that we are now working with. And so I'd like to give you guys a chance to chime in on this. Those of you that have been around Girl Scouts for a while understand all of these things, and hopefully those of you that are new to this are starting to see some of these outcomes emerge in the girls that you're working with as well. So the first one is sense of self, and girls have confidence in themselves and their abilities, and they form positive identities. So I'd like to give you guys a chance to put into the chat box some examples of the outcome of sense of self that you've maybe seen in Girl Scouting. Everyone's being shy right now. That's okay. The sense of self development comes with just about anything that we do. As girls gain skills and they gain confidence, they are learning that their abilities can be endless, that there's just about nothing that they can't accomplish. And that sense of self, that positive self-worth, is so important in Girl Scouts to everything that we do. Yeah. It builds self-confidence when girls accomplish a task. That is so true. So the next one is positive values. Girls act ethically, honestly, and responsibly, and show concern for others. So this is a part of Girl Scouts where we encourage girls to develop their own values and also to be positive in the way that they treat other people and relate to the world around them. And I'm sure you can all relate to positive values in Girl Scouting, starting with the promise and the Girl Scout law. Challenge seeking is where girls take appropriate risks and they try things even if they might fail and learn from their mistakes. One of the things that Girl Scouts of the USA did recently was a survey of parents of young girls all over the country, whether they were Girl Scouts or not, and asked them what did they want for their girls as they were growing up. And one of the things that parents said repeatedly was that they wanted their girls to be able to take risks in a safe, supportive environment. So learning to get outside of their comfort zones, not being afraid to try new things, those are the challenge-seeking things that we hopefully will offer them in Girl Scouts. Healthy relationships. Girls develop and maintain healthy relationships by communicating their feelings directly and resolving conflicts constructively. I think everyone can agree that healthy relationships are an important part of life, and healthy relationships in all manner of your relationships in the world, from family and friends to significant others and the people around you. And then last but not least is community problem solving. Girls desire to contribute to the world in purposeful and meaningful ways, learn how to identify problems in the community, and create action plans to solve them. So this is really where Take Action comes to fruition, where girls really learn to observe the world around them and figure out the ways that they can help. All right, so why are these GSLE outcomes important? Well, the answer is that only programs that purposely aim for these outcomes are Girl Scout program events. If any of you have had a chance to look at the manual yet, you'll see that there are some examples in there, and I apologize that I sent it to you too late. Our editing went later than we had hoped for, but I hope all of you will review it carefully. But there are definitely a lot of events out there that get put on and in the name of Girl Scouts and may not be aiming for these Girl Scout outcomes. And that's all fine. I mean, we all enjoy having just a little bit of fun and celebration with our girls, but Girl Scout program has to have Girl Scout outcomes. So we'd like you to really take a look at these outcomes and aim for them at your events. It's up to us to make sure that each planned activity will support one or more of these outcomes. We should also plan to include outcome questions in our evaluations. Beginning our plans with the end in mind keeps us on track to provide mission-driven, impactful Girl Scout experiences for our girl and adult members. And there are a lot of ways to easily include outcomes in your event. If you're working out of the Girl Scout program material, the journeys or the badges or some of the other program material that's out there, then the outcomes are automatically wrapped into those things, and you don't have to even think about it. But the outcomes are also easily put in to other kinds of events, and so that's what we're aiming for. So this slide is very important, and I want all of you to take home this message if you don't take home anything else. Sometimes we use the language where we say, well, this is, a service unit event, but that event over there is a council event. Or, well, this event is just something that our district is doing, but we're not going to participate in the council event, or whatever. Well, the fact is that all programs and events that are done in the name of Girl Scouts of Historic Georgia are council events. We're all members of this council. Some events are volunteer-led, some are girl-led, some are staff-led, and some are done with vendors and collaborators. But all are council events and must follow the same council procedures and guidelines if they're to be called Girl Scout events. This is a GSUSA requirement. And there are reasons for that, which we're going to talk about. So one of the reasons we've got you guys all on the webinar tonight is because we know how important it is that we have volunteer-led programs and events in our council. Normally, volunteer event directors plan events and programs for a service area or district. When events and programs happen locally, there are more opportunities for girl-led planning and a wider variety of fun and engaging programs. Volunteer-led events increase council offerings and impact more girls than staff-led events alone could possibly do. We don't nearly have enough staff to cover every county. We have about one staff member in program for every 20 counties. So that's a lot of territory to cover, and we know that a lot of good program would never happen if it wasn't for all of you doing volunteer program, and we appreciate you so very much. More local events also make Girl Scouting more visible and show supporters that Girl Scouting is relevant and vital to the well-being of communities. So volunteer event directors must inform GSHG staff about local Girl Scout events. Why do we as staff need to know what events are happening out there? Do you have any ideas why this is so important? If you have an idea about why it's important that we know what you're doing, can you put it into the chat box? Nobody has any ideas? In case others want to join. Thank you, Debria. Yeah, so I'm seeing a lot of good answers here. So let's just, I'm going to scroll back up and see. So in case others want to join. Yes, that's a good reason. A lot of times at our offices we'll get calls about your events, and if we don't know where they are and what you're doing, it's really hard for us to give information to other people. Make sure that the events are supporting the Girl Scouts mission. Yes, Shannon, that is very true. So when we know what events are going on, we can help you to make sure that the mission is being served. And if you want the help, a lot of times you won't need any help. But yes, that is part of why we want to know. So you can see all the great things we can do. Yes, thank you, Jane. We are doing a lot of great things, and I know you are for sure. And that is really important. We can help you to publicize your events, and we can also then have the information so that we can go to our community sponsors and United Ways and let them know all the wonderful things that are happening in Girl Scouting in the community, that they'll, again, know how relevant and important Girl Scouts is to the community. Somebody said insurance. That is a great reason. Insurance is very, as you know, crucial, and we need to know what you're doing in case something does happen. We want to be able to get to you quickly in the case of an emergency, to communicate with the person in charge in case that could be a need in an emergency, and our insurance company wants to know that we do have this oversight, and that is something that they require to be used as coverage in your events. So you guys nailed it. You got all the reasons that I had on my list. Let me see. Recruiting. Recruiting is also a great answer. Oh, and I love this, Nia. Thank you. It can be documented and might be something that someone else might be doing. That is something that I really want to talk about in more detail later. But I think one of the great things that we could do as a group is to share ideas so that we're not reinventing the wheel. And a great idea that works wonderfully in Tifton might also be fantastic up in Augusta. So if we find a good way to share this information, then you all can benefit. All right, thank you. Next slide, Kim.
Okay, so some of the things that we have implemented are just a few forms. I know, more paperwork. Nobody likes more paperwork, but these are the tools that we'll use moving forward so that we know what events are going on. 6 weeks prior to your event, we want you to submit the program event submission form. And you should be able to see on your screen the link to WUFU. And I'm going to take you there now so that you can see, oops, Hang on. Oh, sorry, I did not mean for that to happen. Let's try this one more time.
Hey, Kim, while you're doing that, excuse me just a second, but I'm seeing in the chat box that some people are saying they can only see the response to all panelists. I think if you, under the send to bar in the chat box, if you make it to all attendees, then everyone will be able to see the responses. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Kim.
Okay, thanks for the note. Oh, wait. She said, I don't know if the attendees can see the chat box. I think that might be a default. I think only the panelists can see. So we will be sure to update you all as we go on the comments coming in.
Should they just go to the question and answer section? Could everybody see that?
I don't know. I don't think you can see the Q&A either. Just, yeah, I think that it's set up to hide the attendees' comments to protect the attendee if there's a sensitive question or whatnot.
I'll monitor it and I'll keep copying and pasting it in for you guys.
Yeah, that works. Thanks. Okay.
Thank you for being patient with us. This is our first time using this platform.
It is. Thank you. Okay. This is the program event submission form, and it's pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but you can see you select which program manager is in your region, and on the back end, that's who will receive this submission form. And you'll select what type of event it is, and we're going to go over the types of events in a little bit. The title, a description, the date, the time, the level, how much you're going to charge, what outcomes that your event is intending on meeting, your safety information, and it's all the basic information that we need for the form to work. And so then at the end, we do want you to submit your budget, and we're going to talk about what format your budget's in, although we do have a sample in the manual for you to use. And we will, in the future, update the WooFoo form so that it has more budget information so you do not have to update a separate file. And then you hit submit, and you're all done with that form. So after your event is over, within 2 weeks, we want you to submit the event director report. So we'll go there next. And again, it should look very similar. It asks you who your program manager is, the final name of your title, because you might have changed your mind in the process. Somebody might have had a more clever idea. It happens. Your description, now that it actually happened, you know specifically what happened at the event, because sometimes things change from 6 weeks prior to the event when you have a vision in your mind, and when it comes to the implementation, sometimes things change, and that's okay. So the description, you can tell us what actually happened, how many numbers of each level actually attended. If you have tag-alongs at your event, how many there? There's more info in here about the budget, the outcomes that you met, how the girls achieved the outcomes. If you did a service project or a take action project, you can put it in here. Not every event's going to have one of those, and that's fine. So you can just put not applicable if that's the case. If you had any special challenges or issues, we want to know about these so that we can help you prevent them in the future. Sometimes there's things that happen at events that take us back. We're like, oh, we never thought about that. Or it might be a reoccurring thing that we see from people in different parts of our council, and we can say, oh, we need more training on this because this is popping up here and there. So that's what the special challenges or issues. It's not meant to be a negative. It's so that we can help you get better. And then we mentioned the evaluation, so there's a spot in here to talk about that. And then you submit. And those are the forms. So you can ask any of the program managers for help on how the forms work if you're stuck. I am one of the WUSU administrators, so if you can't get in touch with your local program manager for whatever reason, feel free to reach out to me, and I will be more than happy to figure out why the form is not working. Okay, so we are going to move on. Devin, you're up.
Awesome. I'm back. So we're going to talk about, obviously we talked about how we are all council. We also represent council. So I'm going to talk about the different levels of events, starting off with our trip events. So most of you have probably had a trip event or two in the past. So I'm just going to kind of go over a brief description of what each of these events entail. So a troop level event is an event in which the girls from a specific group are involved. This event is geared towards building the camaraderie amongst the group. Then we have our service area event. That is an event for girls and or adults in a specific service area. It is created, planned, and carried out by a committee, a subgroup of the service area leadership team, a troop of girls, or any other group who wants to help meet the needs of their service area. The event may be grade level specific, or it may be open to the entire membership of a service area. We then have a district event. This is an event for girls and or adults in specific districts. When we say district, that's multiple service areas. Since the district focuses on older girls and non-troop pathway girls, district events may be just for older girls or may include girls from any age level. Then we have our council level events, which is all members of one or more grade levels throughout the council are invited. So amongst the entire council, everybody's invited. All events must follow the guidelines on page 13 of your manual. These include the Girl Scouts of Historic Georgia Volunteer Policies and Procedures, the Girl Scouts of Historic Georgia Volunteer Essentials, Girl Scout Safety Activity Checkpoints, and Girl Scouts of Historic Georgia Social Media Guidelines for Volunteers. So now, if you can, whether it's in the Q&A or the chat box, type in some events that you have helped host in the past, and we can discuss some of those. Okay, Sandy said trunk or treat. Mia Wilson said mother-daughter. Then we have cookie rally. Ooh, encampment. I'm going to scroll up. We're going fast. You guys have a lot of events. The Girl Scout trunk or treat. Perry Christmas parade. Filled in for the official host director on the day of the parade. Ooh, parades are always fun. Journey in a weekend. Christmas craft. Self-defense training. Masquerade ball was the most recent one for them. Badge workshop, veterans parade. Awesome, got multiple parades. Great. So it seems like everybody, well, a lot of people have had some experience hosting some events. It's exciting. We also have a fishing derby, cupcake challenge, yummy, camp out, game day, dance, encampment, parade, service project, father-daughter dance. Awesome. All great ideas. All right, moving on.
Okay, so we're going to spend just a few minutes talking about safety. Every adult in Girl Scouting is responsible for the physical and emotional safety of girls, and we all demonstrate that by agreeing to follow these guidelines at all times. And I'm not going to read word for word all of this because it's in your manual, and you all are very intelligent people who can read for yourselves and don't want to hear me talk. But I'm going to point out the highlights so that you know where to look. And if you have more questions along the way, please do ask us because we take safety very important. The first one is to follow the safety activity checkpoints. You can find the safety activity checkpoints on our website. If you have more safety questions, you can also email safety@gshg.org. Arrange for proper adult supervision. Every group must have at least 2 unrelated, non-cohabitating, approved adult volunteers present at all times, plus additional adults as needed depending on the grade levels. You can find the ratios in your volunteer essentials. Get parent or guardian permission. When an activity takes place that is outside the normal time and place, advise each parent or guardian of the details of the activity, and obtain permission for girls to participate. The next one is report abuse. Any type of abuse needs to be reported. We are mandated reporters here in the state. So if a child is in immediate danger, you should call 911. If you don't think that the child's in immediate danger, then you need to report it within 24 hours by calling our GSHC emergency hotline, and the contact provider will take the information from you and notify the leadership team to follow up. Then you need to be prepared for emergencies. You should work with girls and other adults to establish and practice procedures for emergencies related to weather, fire, lost girls or adults, site security. You should always have a well-stocked first aid kit, the girl health histories, and contact information for the girl's family. You should travel safely. Again, when you're transporting girls, each driver needs to be at least 21 years old, an approved volunteer, and have a good driving record, valid license, and a registered and insured vehicle. Insist that everyone is in a legal seat, wears her seatbelt at all times, and adheres to the state laws regarding booster seats and requirements for children in the rear seat. Moving on, you should ensure safe overnight outings. Prepare girls to be away from home by involving them in planning so they know what to expect. For those that have been involved in Girl Scouts for a long time, you know we believe in progression, and so make sure that the girls are ready to go overnight, and by planning for that definitely helps prepare them. If you have family or parent-daughter overnights, only one family may sleep in the same sleeping quarters in a program area. So if you've got very large cabins, only one family can be in that cabin, even if there's more beds. If you have men, sometimes we have our Girl Scout dads come and join us, and they need to sleep and also have bathrooms in a separate space. Okay, next is role model the right behavior. This is an example of this is not an example of do as I say, not as I do. We want to show them exactly what we want them to do by doing that same thing. So you should not use illegal drugs, alcohol, smoke, or foul language in the presence of the girls. And you should not carry ammunition or firearms in the presence of girls unless given special permission by a staff member. You want to create an emotionally safe space. And we're going to talk about behavior in a little bit, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here. But adults are responsible for making Girl Scouting a place where girls are safe emotionally as they are physically. Ensure that no girl is treated differently. Girl Scouts welcomes all members regardless of race, ethnicity, background, disability, family structure, religious beliefs, and socioeconomic status. So when you're scheduling events, be sure to keep that in mind. We want to promote online safety, instruct girls to never put their full names or contact information online, engage in virtual conversations with strangers, or arrange in-person meeting with online contacts. And keep girls safe during money-earning activities. Girl Scout cookies and other council-sponsored product sales are an integral part of our program, and during Girl Scout product sales, you are responsible for the safety of girls, money, and products. In addition, a wide variety of organizations, causes, and fundraisers may appeal to Girl Scouts to be their labor force. When representing Girl Scouts, girls cannot participate in money-earning activities that represent partisan politics or that are not Girl Scout-approved product sales and efforts. All event directors are responsible for complying with all standards in volunteer essentials and safety activity checkpoints that apply to the event. This is a responsibility that cannot be delegated. Health and safety principles must permeate every Girl Scout activity. It is only by adherence to these policies that we can maintain an excellent safety record. So again, all of these items are in your manual, and so you should look at your sites and be aware of the hazards and the security at your events. Don't take that for granted. If you are using a non-council-owned site, you especially want to take additional precautions. If the site's open to the public, you should definitely keep your eyes open. If you're at a park and there's a group of people that seem unusually close, pay attention to that and don't be afraid to get help if you need it. Okay, first aid. At all times during an event, you are required to have a first aider on the site. The first aider must be currently certified as either a level 1 or level 2 first aider, and safety activity checkpoints goes into more details for specific types of events as to what level of certification needed. The first aider should not have any additional event responsibilities. That one is important, and I think sometimes it gets overlooked. I know personally I've been guilty of that myself. If the first aider has other responsibilities, it makes it difficult to stop what they're doing to go and help if there is an emergency. So it is really important that the first aider is there just to do first aid. There are guidelines in the book as to what a first aid station should have, so you can look up that. And then emergency procedures. So all events, whether one day or several, should have well-publicized emergency procedures posted and discussed in your staff training. And we're going to talk about staff training a little bit later in the presentation. But girls should also be made aware of what to do if cases happen. So you should have a fire or emergency drill during a multi-day event, and don't forget to incorporate that while you're planning. Remember, tell the girls after the drill that it is only a drill, but if they hear alarm again, it will not be a drill, but the real thing. We are in the process of updating our crisis communication and emergency procedures policy, and that will be sent out as soon as we're finished. Okay, so use of waterfront for event recreation. Regardless of whether your event is on Girl Scout property or a public beach, lake, or pool, there are certain requirements you must meet in accordance with safety activity checkpoints. This also goes for hotel pools. And if you intend on using the waterfront for swimming, boating, wading, or other water activities, you must have present a currently certified lifeguard and additional spotters in accordance with the number of participants. And those ratios are in safety activity checkpoints. Failure to adhere to the safety activity checkpoint procedures may make you liable if an accident should occur. Okay, as I said, the crisis communication emergency procedures are being updated and will be sent out. And
Kim, excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
They are updated and they are in the manual. I didn't catch this when we were reviewing. Yep.
Oh, perfect. I didn't realize they had been finalized. Thank you. Okay, so as far as news media involvement in complaints, incidents, or accidents, if something happens, please refer all questions to your staff member. That's what the emergency line is. One of the reasons why the emergency line is there for. Please do not talk to them. Let our media, marketing, and communications team answer it so that we can mitigate any potential problems down the road. And this is a liability. This is to protect you as well as the organization. Okay, insurance claims. So every registered girl and adult member of Girl Scouts of the USA is covered by accident insurance for any authorized and supervised Girl Scout activity. Betsy talked about this a little bit earlier, and so there are insurance claims forms on our website. There is supplemental insurance, and it is very, very inexpensive. It's usually around $5, and that covers roughly 50 or so people. I forgot the exact amount off the top of my head. And for every person after that, it's something like 11 cents. So it's definitely one of those things that is better to be safe than sorry.
And the extra activity insurance is if you are having an event that's longer than 2 nights, and if you are having an event that involves people who are not registered members of Girl Scouts, because if you are inviting family members or siblings or other people who aren't registered, they are not covered by Girl Scout insurance. And of course, everybody's own insurance is always their first line of insurance, but Anything after that is for Girl Scout insurance. So it's really, as Kim said, inexpensive and easy to get, and we really encourage you to get that insurance when it's necessary for your events.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide. So we're going to talk about managing behaviors. Like all adventures, working with girls can present some interesting challenges. Anything from mild to extreme behavior issues can impact your event plans and the overall experience for all the participants involved. Fortunately, there are steps we can take to prevent and reduce the work and worry of such challenges. Betsy, you're up.
Thank you. Had to unmute myself. Sorry. So we wanted to talk a little bit about this because we know a lot of times when adults get together, and even with girl planners are planning events, that it sometimes is easy to just get all in your group together and maybe not pay quite as good attention as needs to be to the girls that are out there in your group. And so we want to just remind everybody at this juncture that it's really important to pay attention to girl behavior at all of our events and to be proactive to prevent problems. So the first thing on the list here is to create a safe space for girls. That was in the safety guidelines, and there's some really good tips on this in Volunteer Essentials. There's some great tips on communication and building trust with girls on pages 74 to 76, and we will give you that reference in the manual.
The next thing on the list is take time so that everyone knows what to expect. You should work with the girls at their grade level to understand and live the Girl Scout Promise and Law. Using the Promise and Law, the girls should build a list of behavior expectations or a group agreement. Some key points to include: treat everyone with respect at all times, including showing respect for others' personal space and belongings, privacy, and feelings. Girls follow the Girl Scout Promise and Law. Girls will not use obscene or foul language or gestures. Girls will not engage in any activity which may put themselves or others at risk. It's really important to do a group agreement with your group because it gives the girls the buy-in to behave, and they can help each other stay on track with the agreement. The following behaviors are considered very serious and may result in immediate expulsion from the group meeting or event: possession or use of weapons, illicit illegal drugs or other controlled substances, tobacco products of any kind, and alcoholic beverages. Physical abuse of any kind, including hitting, kicking, biting, or pushing another person, failure to follow adult instructions, thereby resulting in situations that put themselves or others in physical danger, leaving the immediate program area without the permission of the adult supervising the area or activity, verbal abuse of the other participants, behavior that is constantly interfering with the quality of program for other girls or adults, girls threatening to harm themselves or others. In addition, the Girl Scout Promise and Law and the group agreement, Girl Scouts of Historic Georgia has some sample behavior agreements. While it's not required, it may help prevent some awkward situations and reminds the parents and guardians and girls about the event before any overnight trips or large events.
So manage overnight events. Overnight and weekend events provide their own challenges. With all the options and wide open spaces, it's usually difficult to see everything going on. But there are a few ways you can ensure your girls are safe and feel safe. Take time to listen and to be present with them. Involve all adults in this effort. There are a few ways to accomplish this. As Kim just mentioned, create a group agreement with the girls at the beginning of the event to remind everyone of the expectations. Make sure that girls know if they have an issue or a challenge that there are adults there to help them, and specifically identify who those adults are. Let them know that the girl can come to this adult or those adults with issues anytime, day or night. Take a pause in the day, maybe during mealtime or turtle time. Have a designated adult check in with each girl in small group and keep it casual. Ask them how their day is going and if they're having fun. Follow up with individuals who express concerns. Another way is to have the adults divide up the girls and engage each one of them in casual conversations every day. Or you could have a group circle with the girls, allowing each one of them to share a high and a low of their day, and then follow up on the lows. Offer hugs, handshakes, or a check-in each night before bedtime, so the girls have a chance to tell you about any challenges they may have had. This will also give you a chance to do a head count and make sure all the girls are settled and where they are supposed to be in their own rooms, cabins, tents, and or bunks. Remember, nighttime is when the girls feel the most vulnerable and are most likely to share. You can create a suggestion box or a drop box where girls can share challenges anonymously and then check it twice or more a day. For a multi-day event, you need to have a daily or a nightly check-in with all of the adults or with the central adults to review anything anyone might have noticed and to work out solutions together.
Take note. Pay attention because changes in behaviors can be subtle and are sometimes the only indication that we get that something may be wrong. The girls may tell us they need help or something is bothering them, but sometimes we have so much going on that we can't stop at that moment. So we need to take note, actually write a note to ourselves, and let the girl know that we think the situation is important and we want to talk about it a little later. If she's all right with the delay, you can carry on. If not, let another adult take over the program and take time with the girl right then. Show the girls we believe their feelings are important.
And then finally, take action now. Follow through regardless of how hard a situation might seem, how complicated feelings and beliefs might get. Following through is the best course. Girl Scouts of Historic Georgia has resources, training, staff, and volunteers who can help. You're not alone if you're in a difficult situation. And if anyone believes that a situation is out of their depth or comfort zone, we can turn to the support of the Greater Council. The key point to remember is that we owe it to every girl and volunteer to take action to help everyone. It all comes back to the Girl Scout promise to help people at all times. By taking time to work with the girls and set expectations, taking note of any issues, and taking action to ensure we're all doing well, we really do make the world a better place. So at this time, we wanted to talk about a couple of difficult situations that you might come up against while you're doing an event and see what solutions you all might be able to come up with. So let's say that you are planning an event and it's an overnight event and a girl comes to you and tells you that there's another girl that's been bullying her friend. What are some things you could do or that maybe you could have already done to help you deal with that situation? Do y'all want to write into the chat box or to the Q&A? Okay. Brianna says, first establish that it's a real bullying and not an attention-seeking moment. What? We have girls seeking attention? Never, right?
No, never happened.
Sandy says, question all separately and quietly without calling attention. That's good. Thank you. If you do establish that there is some bullying going on, and you have had your agreement at the beginning that this wasn't going to be allowed, and you review the Girl Scout promise and the law with the girl who's doing the bullying, then, you have some criteria to either call her parents or separate the girls that are having issues. Anything else on bullying? We know that this is something that happens a lot, and so it's likely to be seen at your event, but we definitely find that when we talk about it up front and let them know that it's not something that's going to be tolerated, that there are less of these behaviors. Okay, so here's another scenario for you. You're going to have a large event, and you're going to have a lot of girls there, and they're older girls this time. You have one girl who is constantly just separating herself out, standing in the corner, not wanting to be a part of the group. What are some things you could do in that case? Gently encourage her. Thank you. Make her laugh. Ask questions. Is she always like this? Ask another girl to talk to her. Buddy her up and give her special jobs. Find what that girl is interested in. Yeah, great. These are all good answers. And it'll let the girl know that we do care how she's feeling. You know, maybe she's really sad about something that happened at home. Or maybe she just got into a fight with her friend who's there too, and she just doesn't want to be with her. So, oh, somebody says, Amy, thank you. Try to allow for written responses so she can privately express concerns. Yeah, that's all really good. So the point is to make sure that every girl knows that we are concerned with how she is doing. I know sometimes in really large events, it's hard to keep track of every single one of them. It's hard to know what every girl is doing every minute. But that's why you've got to enlist the other adults in your event to come and help out and to be a part of keeping every girl on track and where she's supposed to be. All right, thank you. Well, Pam says, ask her to help you with something at the event, and while helping, talking can begin. Yes, that is a great way to engage a girl. Thank you.
All right, so flyers. If you're like me, you love making flyers to spread the word. Well, as much as I'd like to make my own rules about my flyers, I do have to follow the ones that are in place. GSUSA provides guidelines for the use of brand by which we are responsible to abide. Our goal is to make sure that we put our best face forward and ensure that our brand is used professionally and consistently within these guidelines. It kind of makes us look like, you know, we've got it together when we follow these rules. Any flyer, or even if you're creating your own loosely form, anything using the Girl Scout name going out to the public, you want to submit your designs to Marcom no later than 10 business days before they are needed. Not before the event, before they are needed, before you actually want to hand them out. We will do everything we can to support you and you all, and to help you make sure your designs are inviting and consistent with our brand guidelines. All staff members and event director volunteers should send designs for print work, flyers, brochures, signs, t-shirts, patches to one of the members of the GSHG Marcom team for approval. You can see those people right there on the side, Debbie Caballero, Taylor Nobles, and Victoria Van Hunt. We place lots of information to help you on our website, the Brand Center, which you can access through our website. Also, this site provides cheat sheets that will answer lots of your questions up front and make the design process easier for you. My one note is for you is that the trick is that the logo has to go on the top or the bottom far left corner, and it cannot be hidden by anything. All right. So let's talk about making an awesome flyer. So on these flyers, you will want to include, obviously, the title of your event, because how will you know what you're doing? What and why. So a short description of the event and why they should attend. Who. So who's going to be invited, what grade level, if you're going to allow tag-alongs, parents. Sometimes we do events where it's all for girls, or sometimes we do, like the Epcot trip, we're not allowing parents to register. We're just taking a few volunteers, so sometimes we don't allow parents as well. Where and when. So date, time, place, and address, the cost, include availability of financial assistance, the breakdown of what is covered in the fee, so such as the food, snacks, costs for adults, etc. I like to mention if patch is included. A lot of people will ask if there's a patch or something, a takeaway. Contact person, so they can contact you for additional information. The registration deadline, and Girl Scout identification, so the service mark, which, like I said, is on the top or bottom left corner. So just some suggestions from our Marcom team for designing a flyer is to keep your flyer short and sweet and to the point. Don't get wordy. People won't read it. They will just think it's busy. Create visual interest with the use of graphics and or pictures. Do not use copyrighted materials without permission. That's a no-no. Use of white space. Do not fill up every smidgen of space. White space is a good thing, and you can make your flyer much more inviting to read. Referencing our name. When mentioning our name in a copy, use either Girl Scouts or Girl Scouts of Historic Georgia. Use initial caps in all text. Only the logo image should be lowercase. Required fonts. Girls, troops, volunteers, etc. are to use the Arial font and its variations for any design materials that are created. Paper color. Select a color that is appropriate for the intent and audience of your flyer. Your favorite color may or may not be the most appropriate. Proofread, then proof it again. Ask someone who is unfamiliar with the event to look at your flyer. Don't ask them if they like it or if it's okay. They will glance at it and say it's fine. Ask them if they would be interested in attending the event. This will make it necessary for them to read your piece. Also, just a little fun fact I wanted to note in there when it says referencing our name. So if you're saying the age level, so such as cadets or seniors, you want to make sure you're saying Girl Scout cadet before. So adding Girl Scout before the level. All right, budgeting. Who doesn't love the budget? So how do we figure out what to charge for the event? What number are you going to put on that flyer that you just made? So setting the event fees. Fees should be based on actual cost of the event. Event directors should know what the break-even point is for the number of participants and publish minimum and maximum numbers on the flyer. Budgets for all events must be approved by the service area team before moving forward with an event. This must be done prior to submitting a program submission form to the staff, which, like we said, is due 6 weeks before the event. Event directors are encouraged to delegate this responsibility to a volunteer with experience in financial forms and practices. Financial aid may be possible from your service area or district funds. If you decide to offer financial aid for your event, publish the application guidelines with your other event information and decide ahead of time how you will decide to award it in a fair and equal way. For help with this, contact your local program staff member. All right, so we're going to talk about budget and record keeping. Keeping accurate records and receipts of all transactions for your event is required and will ensure good management practices and help to keep the event on budget. Review the budget items below to help you plan expenses. Some examples of budget planning sheets are included in this manual, and there are also numerous examples online. So you can go refer to the manual for some of the expenses. The important thing is to use something that works for you and to keep track of all expenditures and income. You'll have to submit your budget results when your event is over. This is the budget form that Kim showed us that is due 2 weeks after your event. So right now I'm going to ask you guys to utilize the question and answer in the chat box to give me some examples of what expenses you might incur in your at your event. Food, absolutely, my favorite part. Supplies, you have to do your craft, need some glue. Extra insurance, venue and craft, absolutely. Love that you mentioned the extra insurance. Oh, the question was, what type of expenses might you incur at your event? Facility costs, camping site fees, printing supplies, decorations. Awesome. All great suggestions. They are all on my list. So a couple other things, maybe medical supplies. So like we mentioned, that we need to make sure we all have a first aid kit at our event. So things that might go in our first aid kit. Lifeguard fees is another great one. Awesome. We need to make sure that our girls are safe in the water, and we do need our lifeguards. Another thing would be maybe thinking training costs with lifeguards. We kind of go under that, making sure that we have people that are trained in canoe certification as well when we're doing that type of thing, or archery training. Housekeeping, which includes cleanup equipment, paper towels and trash bags. Tokens of appreciation, people, volunteers that help us out. It's nice to sometimes give them a little token of appreciation. Let's see what else. Site or room rental, patches, absolutely. Those girls love their patches. Transportation is another big one. Make sure that you're factoring in the gas if you are driving girls somewhere. Make sure you're factoring in that cost as well. And then we said, everybody said meeting space and things like that. Awesome. Now we'll talk about income, program or registration fees. So your income will be based off the money that people pay to come to the event. So we set our minimum to make sure that we hit that break even. So say it's going to cost you $100 and you're charging girls $10 each, your minimum would be 10 girls, so you would hit that break even point. So you want to make sure that your income obviously matches up with your expenses at least. Contributions, these can be monetary or in kind. Check with your membership staff or service area manager for policies on monetary contributions. If service areas or districts have a large amount of money in the bank, it should be used to offer girl programming, and it should be included in this line item as well. So yes, I know there are restrictions on how much can be donated. I know it did just increase, I believe, for service areas, so that's something to consider as well for income. All right, so this is a lovely budget and expense report. I love this. I also use this for my planning. So just kind of an overview, the cost per participant and what your anticipated number of girls will be. So then you're going to do your anticipated amount, actual participants, and actual amount. Sorry, I'm stumbling over those words. I hope you can read them. And then you'll do your total expense there down at the bottom. This expense report is also in your manual as well.
So this is the end of the section that we wanted to make sure that anyone who is new or experienced got to hear. And we're going to take a little pause right here and ask you a question and give you a chance to ask questions. So we'd like to know, what are the things that we can do to support each other in the future? And if you have any questions of us at this point, please go ahead and type them in the chat box too, or the question and answer box. One of the things that I mentioned previously was a way that we can share ideas with each other about the events that we're doing. And if we can figure out a place where we can share all those ideas, then I think that would be wonderful. And so we're looking at a way to have a place on our website where you could go to look for ideas and as much information as you all are willing to share about events. So if you plan to, She and Me Tea, I saw was one of the events that went by that you've done before. If you're willing to share what that looks like, the kinds of resources you used, and those sorts of things, then we can definitely share. I think Fred says, she would like us to share evaluations with each other. That's a good idea. We do have a couple of samples of evaluations in the Event Director Manual, so you're welcome to use those and just tweak them for your event. Or if other people have different ways of doing evaluations, send them on, and we can share. Francis says, tell us how service areas can acquire outlines for staff programs so that we can put them on in our own areas. And I know Francis is a little far away from any of our offices, and that's why she's asking, but I'm sure other people would appreciate that too. So, I think that would be something that we could also share on a web space for that sort of thing.
We have some questions above, too. Shannon said, I have tons of ideas for events. I'm not sure about how to approach places where I'd like to have them. I don't have an official Girl Scout email address or business card.
Okay, Shannon, so what I would suggest for you to do is to find out who your program manager is and talk to her, and you can work on those things together. I think that's a great idea, and we would love to have more vendor events. Yeah, thank you. There's a slide that shows who your program manager is in each area. We would love to have more vendor events, though, in some outlying areas as well, for all the reasons that we stated.
And she also asked, do you recommend approaching a place in person, which I personally think that you absolutely should, doing it in person is a lot more effective than over the phone or email, in my experience.
Although a lot of people like it if you set up an appointment and don't just show up cold. So I would recommend calling ahead and finding out who the right person is to speak with, and then making an appointment with that person.
Okay, are we ready to move on?
I guess so.
Okay. So now it's time to start planning. All event plans need to answer these 5 questions, and we're going to go down the line and tackle each one at a time. The first and most important thing to decide is which event to offer. Relevant, impactful Girl Scout programs and events are the ones that respond to the needs of girls. So the first thing to find out, as Juliet Lowe asked long ago, is what do the girls want to do? How do we find out what the girls want? Well, we ask them, of course. Would they like to learn to ride horses, build a birdhouse, do a Take Action project in the community, earn the new cuisine fad, go overnight camping, etc., etc. There's all kinds of things they want. When adults choose the events and activities, we aren't implementing the girl-led part of the GSLE process, and we risk spending time and energy on events that no one will attend. There are many different ways to find out what the girls in your area would like to do. You can go to troop meetings and talk to the girls. You can prepare surveys to pass out at the service area meetings for the leaders to take back to their troops. You can do an online survey with SurveyMonkey in your local Girl Scout Facebook group. You can do a poll or through any other virtual platform. The older girls would probably be delighted to help with this if you ask. Remember, the Girl Scouts of Historic Georgia social media guidelines, which can be found in your manual, and at other events include an evaluation question that asks, what other Girl Scout events would you like to see offered? Some criteria for quality programs and events are that they address the current needs of girls in the community, they provide opportunities for personal growth, exploration, and discovery, has activities appropriate to the targeted grade level, is affordable, has girl input at every step along the way, is challenging, is a positive learning experience, is inclusive of all members, has well-trained girl and adult volunteer staff, and most importantly, is fun.
All right. So I can't do this by myself. And no, you shouldn't. So we're going to talk about doing this as a team because we all are a team. So most events and programs require more than one person to effectively deliver. Working with adult and girl volunteers to create a great program is impactful, gratifying way to give service to the organization while working alongside Girl Scout adults and girls who are passionate about our program. So let's talk about recruiting event volunteers. Event volunteers can come from inside and outside of Girl Scouts. Area leaders and parents may be interested in helping, and other community-minded people outside of Girl Scouts may be interested in volunteer opportunities that do not involve the commitment of leading a troop. College campuses, civic clubs, and service sororities and fraternities are all great places to advertise a need for volunteers and those needs can be advertised virtually. Remember, if you involve an outside program vendor or volunteer that is not a GSHC-approved volunteer, she may only deliver program for girls in the presence of a background check GSHC-approved volunteer and never will be left alone with the girls. The best solution is that all of our event volunteers become members and approved volunteers, and we should always extend the invitation to them. So if you're looking at reaching out to people who aren't Girl Scouts, ask them if they would like to be a part of it. All right, so event volunteers. Depending on the type and duration of your event, you may need volunteers to have specific tasks. For smaller events, volunteers may have more than one role. There must always be enough adults 18 years and older to meet adult-girl ratio based on nature of activity and in accordance with the volunteer essentials and safety activity checkpoints. If there are not enough adult volunteers to help with the event will have to be postponed or canceled. So some examples of volunteers could be an assistant event director, registrar, cook, dishwashers, equipment manager, first aider, someone who's there just to plan the meal. So you can build your own team. So we may have an event director position in a service area, but they usually build a team of volunteers that want to do these roles as well. So training event volunteers. Event volunteer training should be on the event planning timeline. How you will share the information with them? Set aside enough time to be thorough and generate excitement for your event while respecting volunteer time. So if you have an event coming up and you want to set a meeting where you can all get together and figure out which roles everybody's going to play. You can do an in-person meeting, a conference call, email, webinar, or do it at one of your service area meetings. Determine what your event staff needs to know. At the training, work to create a team feeling and sense of common purpose. Take input from your volunteers, allow space for conversation and suggestions. Listen. So you may have an idea of how you want an event to go, but sometimes listening to others, you may think, oh, that's a great idea, and you may shift gears a little bit. The purpose of the event and target audience, GSLE targeted outcomes, overview of the event, who, what, when, where, and how, and why. So you want to make sure that you look at site information and boundaries, registration procedures, timeline of the day, emergency procedures, weather conditions, and budget, how to handle unplanned and planned expenses. And you want to look at the site policies. Girl Scout recognitions earned, if any, so such as badge work and things like that, planned activities, duties of event volunteers, specific job description information. Those are all things that should be covered in your planning meeting. After the training, use evaluation results to determine if your volunteers are ready. Follow up in any areas where more information or improvement is needed. Circulate during the event to make sure volunteers are ably performing their assigned duties. Adjust roles as needed. Depending on the size of the event director shouldn't have any assigned event duties other than making sure the event volunteers are doing what they need to do to make the event a success. If need be, the event director can step in and assist in any area.
So this part is about the girl-adult partnership. And all of those event volunteers that Devin was just talking about, some of them can be girls. Even most of them can be girls. And depending on the abilities and the grade levels of the girls you're working with, girls can do almost all of an event except sign the checks and drive the car sometimes. So work on getting your girls involved in your event planning as much as you can. Here we have some examples of ways that girls at different grade levels could participate. But giving girls a chance to learn event planning gives them valuable skills for life, and they work as a team to create impactful experiences for others. So, Daisy Girl Scouts, or Girl Scout Daisies, can choose between 2 or 3 things, like menu items or activities. Brownies usually give enthusiastic support for any event that involves them individually or as a troop. They can make important choices such as choosing a basic theme or an idea for an event, the rules of conduct, doing the flag ceremony, what kind of names and name tags and invitations there are. Juniors can be active support as teams, patrols, or troops for an event. Some of the examples are everything that the Brownies can do, plus they can develop the theme. They can teach other girls songs and games and crafts. They can teach ceremony skills, do plays, etc. And cadets can help with planning support as individuals, teams, patrols, or troops. Those with Program A training can be given even more responsibility. Some examples of cadet planning are all of the above, plus they can telephone or personal contact with people with adult supervision. They work well with adults. They can plan songs, skits, ceremonies, events, etc. They can share their skills, and they can share their experiences in Girl Scouting. And seniors and ambassadors are great event planners, individually, in teams, patrols, or troops. Your examples might include all of the above, plus the total planning of some events, with adult support and advice. So girl abilities and experience vary widely, and so the key is to know your individual girls. When delegating to girls, remember to give one task at a time, spread out a task, give a timeline, and follow up to see if she needs help. Another aspect of events and of Girl Scouting in general is diversity. Girl Scouting as an organization prides itself on the diversity, and so we have all kinds of girls in Girl Scouting from different places, different backgrounds, et cetera, et cetera. And so as an event director, you need to be aware of the uniqueness of each girl and adult. Differences among us include geographic location, age, religion, ethnic group, education level, physical abilities, economic level, number of years in Girl Scouting, and countless other differences that enrich the overall Girl Scout experience. Be careful not to generalize with girls, and remember to consider all girls. For instance, it might take some girls over 2 hours of travel to reach your event. Will you have time for snacks near the beginning of the event? Or will your letter of confirmation remind leaders to provide this themselves? Aim to recruit adults to help with the event that reflect our diversity and provide girls with diverse role models. Right here on this slide, you'll see three of the girl leadership programs that we have for girls. Program aides are Cadet Girl Scouts, and Volunteer in Training and Counselor in Training are Seniors and Ambassador Girl Scouts. And these are all programs, leadership programs, that girls can participate in. It's a training program. After they go through these courses, then they're more able to help. They learn the skills and they learn some tools to really help them be even more valuable volunteers. So they'll have experience in leading Girl Scout activities, and they want to be involved in bringing Girl Scout programs to younger girls. Their youth and enthusiasm can be tapped to assist in facilitating opportunities for our younger members and leaders alike. It's tempting to use them without thought to their experience, but we must remind ourselves that they're so very close to becoming tomorrow's leaders, and yet they still need our support and attention. They can lead the songs, teach geocaching, start the fire, lead the Brownie program, deliver the STEM activities, and administer an entire day camp program with more panache than we could have imagined. Still, we, as supportive advisors to their Girl Scout leadership experience, must help them evaluate, discover their own values from their experiences, and connect with experts and other girls and adults in their areas of interest. We must also remember that they're still our girls, and we owe them time and space to experience the event, the camp, outdoor skills, swimming, and simply enjoying being a Girl Scout. Work and learn cooperatively with your PA, CIT, or VIT, and you'll have a strong hand in building not just one girl of courage, confidence, and character, but all the girls that she also reaches. So if you want to know more about the Program Aid, VIT, and CIT programs, you can find all the requirements and information about them in the older girl guides. Our girls and adults share many similarities as well as differences. With attention to your overall program goals and sensitivity to both differences and similarities, your event is sure to be a success.
There are several things to consider as you decide when to hold your event. The first one is lead time. Leaders and troops usually request that they know upcoming events at least 2 or 3 months in advance so that they can plan accordingly and communicate with parents. Calendar conflict. This is a tough one because you can't make everybody happy. We can't avoid all schedule conflicts, but we want to make sure we pay attention to the calendar and look at the big events. School events and testing, other council-related events in the area, product sales, community parades and festivals, college football schedules are only a few examples of the things you need to try to plan around. The weather is an important thing to consider. If it's an outside event, it's usually more comfortable in the spring or fall rather than in the winter or summer. And time of day is important to look at. Family schedules and grade level differences of your target audience should be considered. Research tells us that younger girls are more awake and alert in the morning hours, while older girls are more engaged in the afternoons. Be sure to review your volunteer essentials and safety activity checkpoints as you are reviewing your sites where you want to have your location, where you want your event at. Also, something to take into consideration is that we, as Betsy mentioned before, we are all representing the name of Girl Scouts in our council. So if you are making a reservation with a church or with another museum for an event and something happens and you decide to move on from those, make sure you reach out to those people and say, hey, thanks for reserving the spot for us, but we went in a different direction. We want to make sure that our name, our Girl Scout name, stays where it should in our community. We want to make sure that we always have those contacts and connections as needed. Okay, let me move on to the next slide. There we go. Okay, so Devin, you're up next with the how.
Awesome. So how are we going to do this? So we're going to talk about registration first. Registration guidelines. The registration guidelines are suggested for a hassle-free registration. All volunteer-run events money should be run through a GSHC service area, district, or council checking account. If you choose to use the council registration system for an event, a weekly form will be created for online registration, and you may easily accept debit and credit cards as payment. A small fee per transaction will apply. The fees of that are charged by banks and credit card companies for accepting those types of payments. The best thing is to assign someone to handle registrations for the event, so your volunteer registrar, and set a deadline for registration. So examples of what you should include on your registration forms are the names of participants or leaders, and number of girl participants, the address, telephone, email address, service area, grade or program level, troop number, payment information, space to indicate dietary restriction or other special needs, parent or guardian permission for participation and for use of any photos, permission for daughter to join Girl Scouts if applicable, other choices on events such as workshops, dietary restrictions, items to bring, if applicable, including medical forms, so such as like sleepovers, you want to make sure they have a packing list. If overnight event, description of lodging, registration, and also the registration deadline, event cancellation, and refund policy as well. After you have sent out your registration, you will send out confirmations once your deadline has passed. The confirmation should be sent out at least 2 weeks prior to the event. Keep a list of all the troops or individuals participating. The list should include the name, address, and phone number of the person making the reservation, troop number, and number of girls and adults participating. You want to keep a waiting list. This waiting list may be utilized to fill spaces created by cancellation. Troop individuals should be notified that they are on a waiting list. Set a policy for refunds. You can refer to the council policy for refunding program registration fees. Examples of what could go in your confirmation packet are a welcome note. Everybody loves a welcome note. Map or directions to the location and a complete address for GPS. Check-in and check-out times and locations. Information about any meals provided. Emergency number at site or emergency contact person if number is not available. List of equipment to bring, including parent permission slips, schedule for events, Who to contact with questions, email and or phone number, and balance due on registration if appropriate. Then we're going to talk about our evaluations because we want to know how we did. So event evaluations are an important piece of the event, learning by doing. These determine how successful the event was. They tell us the constructive criticism to be aware of for future events. Most importantly, they allow us to show how successful Girl Scouts is to people not currently in Girl Scouts. We know Girl Scouts build girls of courage, confidence, and character, but the evaluations prove that. Nothing is stronger at getting supporters and hearing in girls' own words how the program has positively impacted her life.
So you see on your screen a list of some of the forms and resources that are available to you in your Event Director Manual. Everything and more is available, and you can choose to use some or all of these resources. The only forms that are required are the Program Event Submission Form and the Program Event Report. Everything else is optional just to help keep you organized. If you have a system that you've already created that works better, by all means, feel free to use that. If you do have, I know we mentioned this earlier, but if you do have an event that the girls particularly enjoyed, please pass along the program plan so that we can recreate the event in other parts of the areas, other regions of our council footprint. We are working to build a event director spot on the website so that we can share these resources. And a question from Michaela just came in. Evaluations are not optional, right? Yes, you are correct. Evaluations are not optional. We do require evaluations for all events. And I think that's the end. So I'm going to let Betsy wrap us up. Betsy, are you there?
Yes, sorry about that. I muted myself instead of unmuted. Thank you very much. So, I know at the beginning, Kim asked everybody to raise their hand if they had never hosted an event before. And this question is particularly aimed at you, if you have never hosted an event before. We've gone through a ton of information here, and everything that we've talked about tonight is going to be in your manual. I think you'll find it there, and hopefully we've given you the contact information for your local program staff member, and you're also welcome to contact anybody else at Girl Scouts to help you, and they can point you in the right direction to get the help you need for your event. But the question is, do you think you have enough information to host an event now? And so if you would just raise your hand if you think you have enough information to host an event. Kim, will you let me know?
I sure will. Yep, we're getting hand raises. This is awesome.
Very good. That's great.
Perfect.
Good deal. So now I want to make sure that any of your questions are answered. We are at 7:57, and so we said we'd be finished by 8 with time for questions, and I'm delighted that we're finishing on time, and I know you all are too. You probably have things to finish up this evening at home, but we're going to give you all a little bit of time to comment or question.
We have some questions from earlier that were in the Q&A.
Okay, let's do them.
My scroll box was a little up. My scroll box was weird. So Tanya Lynette asked, so will this be in addition to the plan of works, which has all the information, program submission forms? Yes, because the plan of work sometimes changes. The plan of work is due in the beginning of the Girl Scout year, and personally, I didn't get that. As a program manager, I don't get the plan of work. I don't know if that's the same, Kim, in your area, but the submission forms ensure that the program manager is aware of the events that are going on.
Okay.
There's another one from Kelly specifically to me. I will email you, Kelly. Let's see. A lot of suggestions.
We have a question in the chat box. Several people asked if they could get printed copies of the manual.
Yes. If you would like a printed copy of the manual, email us, and we will see that you get one. Or you can come by the office to pick it up.
Someone else asked, if you tell go ahead.
Nope, go ahead.
If you tell troop leaders that only registered and background checked adults can attend an event, do you have to get extra insurance knowing that all troop leaders do not follow directions?
If you want to be safe, and since it only costs you $5, I would say yes. That way you're covering yourself.
Another question. So for sending out a flyer to troop leaders, do we need to submit it? You don't, because it's going amongst just the troops. If it goes out to the public, it needs to be properly branded. If it's going just amongst your troop leaders, it does not. That is from the word of mouth of Marcom.
Okay.
We have another question for all the troop leaders that did not attend the training that are doing service area events. Will this be offered again? We are recording the event so that they can listen to it online. And if we see a need, yes, we will definitely offer this again. And there was another question that I missed. I think.
Michaela, can you type your question again? I think it was about money. Someone said, did we answer that one yet?
Oh, yeah, that was the other question.
Okay.
No, I don't think it got answered yet, but this one is a Betsy question. Actually, Michaela had two questions. The first one is, will there be a WUFU form for evaluations? And we can certainly look into creating that. I know for a lot of events, there's not always a computer readily available at the event to be able to do the form, but certainly we can do WUFU forms for evaluations. And then her other question was, if payments are made to a PayPal account, should all the funds go to the host committee, example, Gold Award Alliance or Legacy checking account, and be paid out from there, or can expenses be paid out from the PayPal account? I'm going to paraphrase that to make sure I understood the question correctly first. I think what she's asking is payments, registration money is going to a PayPal account. Can you pay expenses out of that account, or does the money have to be transferred to the host committee's bank account first? Michaela, if I got that right, please say yes so that we can try to answer it. I want to make sure we understood the question. Okay, she said yes. So, Betsy, I'm going to let you tackle that one because, truthfully, I'm not exactly sure of the answer and do not want to give out wrong information.
Well, I'm with you there, Kim. I've never had that question come up before, so we will find out the answer and get back to you. I'm not sure what the deal is with PayPal accounts. But we will find out, and we will let everyone know.
Where is that question? Is that in Q&A, Kim?
It's in the chat. And she said, her volunteer essentials, it says all funds must go to a checking account. That's why she asked.
Okay.
Yeah, well, so she's saying the money's being funneled through a PayPal instead of through the checking account, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and, volunteer essentials, some of those guidelines in there have been the same for quite a while. And so they may not have taken PayPal accounts into consideration. But like I said, I'll follow up on that and let you guys know what the answer is.
Yeah, Michaela said some are pre-current technology. We will agree with you.
Exactly.